While Google may not use meta tag descriptions to affect your ranking, people use meta tags to determine whether or not they click on those results. Hi, I'm Mike Phillips, and in this video, we're going to discuss meta tag optimization. We'll talk a little bit about why it's so important for your business, 3 key areas for you to focus on, pitfalls to avoid, as well as homework for you to practice what you've learned. Let's get started. Meta tag descriptions are very important for UI. These brief text descriptions are what tell a user to expect when they click on a link. These brief descriptions summarize the content on your page beneath the page title. Together, the title and the meta description make up your search engine result page listing. Meta tags are extremely important to turn searchers into visitors, and ultimately visitors are who become customers. Not only do meta tags influence searcher behavior, they help search engines themselves understand how to view and display your site content. Leveraging this tool correctly is important to drive meaningful business outcomes and be discovered in the first place. To optimize your meta tags, there are 3 key areas I'd like you to focus on. The first area is the meta description text itself. These descriptions summarize your content, not just for customers, but for search engine crawlers as well. Appearing just below your page title in a search engine result, think of this not as a ranking factor tool, but as a way to enhance your click-through rate. Creative descriptions with relevant keywords, pain points, and language are exactly how you will turn a relevant query answer into the top choice to click on. Strong meta descriptions on your homepage, internal pages, and blog posts are essential to turn search engine views into click-throughs. And click-throughs are ultimately what will lead to critical business results. Here are some best practices that you should implement to create click-worthy meta descriptions. Keep your description under 60 characters and create distinct summaries for each page. Just like the content itself, tip 3 is to avoid duplicate meta descriptions, and tip 4 is to always use sentence case for capitalization. Tip 5 is to be accurate, descriptive, but concise. Remember, this is a chance for you to inspire people to want to click through in combination with what your page is titled and the query that brought them there to begin with. Tip 6 is to match search intent. Use the language in your description to match the queries your users are searching. If they are looking for quick answers, make sure your description shows that that's what you will deliver if they click on your result. Use your description not to sell your product, but to sell the click. Think of this as a micro conversion. They have viewed your result, but now you want to earn their interaction. My 7th tip is to only include keywords in the description where they make sense. It may be tempting to fill your meta tag with more search terms, but in the end, this text has to pull double duty. Not just showing the search engine how to view and understand your page, but to inspire action in the human searchers that have seen your result. Combine all 7 tips in your meta descriptions to create click-worthy search results. The second main area you should focus on when optimizing a meta tag is robot tags. Robot meta tags affect how Google interacts with your page by changing how it crawls and therefore indexes your content. There are several parameters that can affect how the crawling will or won't occur, and you may want to deliberately limit or block crawling to help meet certain strategic goals with your content. Let's walk through a few together. The index tag tells robots to crawl and index a site. An index page can be seen in search results, and if you don't add any code, this is the default setting. The inverse is no index. This has a search engine not crawl and index a site, and pages tagged with no index will not be viewable by searchers. However, the pages are still navigable on your site through direct links. A different parameter is follow. A follow tag is a default that makes sure that all links on a page tagged with it are followed by the crawling bots from Google and other search engines. This allows search engines to understand the interconnectedness of what is on a page. And again, this is the default setting. The inverse of follow is, of course, no follow. NoFollow does not allow a search engine to understand the links that go through or leave a given page tagged with this parameter. There may be a reasonable use case that links that appear on a page, such as a comment section, are not ones that you personally endorse as a company. In that case, you want Google to not follow those links. It's an expression that you are not spamming links on a page. It might be bad actors in comments or otherwise desperate SEO specialists. The final basic parameter is no archive. No archive tells Google to not cache or show a given page tagged with this parameter. There are several use cases where the combinations of these parameters could be very strategic for you. No index may be relevant on a page that is relatively similar to another as far as the volume of content on it, but it is important to exist in general from a user experience perspective. Let's say you have two distinct types of users looking to buy software. They have two different use cases, two different pain points, two different motivations. They deserve two different web pages, but the product they're buying may be the same. In that end, the way you talk about that product could be too similar on those two pages. In this instance, you may want to no index tag one of the two pages and interlink them so that whichever one a buyer arrives on through search, they can find the site that matters most to them. Obviously, duplicate content is almost always a bad thing from a Google ranking perspective, so no index helps you solve a problem like this. As I mentioned earlier, the nofollow tag could be strategically advantageous if you have a blog with open comments. If you're not policing the comments directly, you may notice that people drop links into other websites in the comments. This is a cheap backlink practice. Or it could just be a very eager entrepreneur. Either way, too many of these links will result in your page looking spammy to Google. If you put a nofollow rule on that page, you'll avoid the issue of looking like you're trying to achieve bad backlinks and using shady SEO practices. Using the right combination of robot meta tags needs to be a strategic approach based on balancing buyer intent on the site and proper ranking practices. Consider how combinations of tags like these can positively affect your business outcomes through SEO. The third area that you need to focus on when it comes to optimizing your meta tags is how to use viewport meta tags. To even understand this section, we need to define a viewport first. A viewport is the viewer's viewable area on a given page, and viewport area changes by device. For example, a desktop browser versus a mobile experience have two very different viewable areas. Your mobile users are viewing your content through a much smaller area. Think of it like a zoomed-in telescope. By comparison, a viewer visiting through a desktop site is going to have a much wider angle view, much like a camera lens. The viewport meta tag is what instructs the browser to display your content proportionately to device size. The viewport meta tag instructs your browser, like Chrome, Firefox, or Safari, to display your content at the device-appropriate size. Different sizes for mobile, tablet, and desktop. Viewport size is a key part of responsive design, and responsive design is critical to ranking well. Responsive design makes viewing the site contents instantaneous, and instantaneous viewing increases your user experience. This is why Google factors this in so strongly in their ranking results. In fact, because over 50% of all web traffic is now mobile, viewport tagging is one of SEO's best practices. Now that we've discussed three areas for you to focus on when optimizing your meta tags, I'd like to cover a few pitfalls that you should be aware of. As we mentioned in the beginning of this lesson, Google doesn't directly use the contents of your meta description to affect ranking, but that doesn't mean you should consider it as irrelevant to your search engine strategy. Remember, if your searchers are unable to discern the value of what you're showing in your result, just because you came up high in a search result doesn't mean you'll earn their click. Over time, low engagement pages will be demoted. In this way, the human behavior of clicking through and interacting with the content positively is part of what secures your authority. Additionally, not having the right viewport size set can immediately rule out a positive user experience. Imagine going to a website and having the sizing constrained wrong, so it's hard to read. Oftentimes, poor font size adaptation is the result of the wrong viewport tag. Lastly, Google understands responsive design sites better. The better Google can understand, crawl, and interpret the quality of your site, the better you will rank. Combine the right robot tags with the right human descriptions, and you'll avoid these pitfalls. Now it's time for a simple assignment for you to practice what you've learned. This is going to be easy. Go to Google and use some of the top searches that your customers use to find your site. Do some high-intent searches, such as those including your product or brand name, and some general queries in the discovery phase, such as how to or top 10 or the best way to. Those types of long-tail keyword searches. Then, in another tab, use the site : prefix to pull up all pages that are indexed for your website in its own search string. Now you can compare. Look at the search intent-driven results. Based on the question and the query you used to arrive at those results, how good of an answer is your meta tag to that question? Does it inspire curiosity? If you were a customer that had arrived via that search, does that earn your click? This is assessing the human element of meta tag description performance. Next, go to the other tab that has pulled up all indexed pages for your site. Read through the descriptions that arrive there. Do those descriptions make a viewer want to learn more? Do they answer certain questions that could be asked? Consider why they are indexed but not being served up as an answer to the questions in your other tabs. If a page on your full index is important to your search strategy, but it is not coming up as an answer to a question, you need to consider perhaps that the meta tag does not provide good incentive to engage with that result. This holistic strategy is very important because in the end, the people train the algorithm. If users find your content important and valuable, the algorithm will learn, and you will achieve higher and more prevalent search results. You've reached the end of this lesson. We've covered key aspects of optimizing your meta tags. We've taught you about pitfalls to avoid. You know the business impact that this knowledge can have, and you've had a chance to practice. So thank you so much for learning with me. I'm Mike Phillips. And remember, meta tags serve two key purposes: to help the search engines understand how to view and interact with your site, but also to earn the click of the human searchers that will one day become your customers.